Welcome back everyone. It's been a minute since I've done a phone comparison at all, and I figure what time to better do it than now. And we're going to be talking about none other than the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max and seeing which one you should pick up in 2020. Now, it really comes down to size, but sometimes it can be way more than that too. If you like a smaller phone, then go for the iPhone XS. If you like a bigger phone, go for the iPhone XS Max. But if you like a medium-sized phone, you can always go for the iPhone XR if you want to. Now, between both of these phones, one doesn't necessarily feel way more premium than the other one, but as a consensus, and I'll be completely honest, if you can't tell which size you like, if you like the smaller one or bigger one, I'll be honest, most of the time you're probably better off getting the smaller version for a lot of you. For me personally, I would probably end up picking the bigger one, but just because, I've used some phones in my day and everything, I think for a majority of people, they're probably better off getting the smaller one than the bigger one. That's just my opinion. But again, if you like the bigger one, then go for that one too. Really, the features and everything are almost identically the same. They both have the same kind of screen. Obviously, the XS Max is bigger. They have the same power, the same cameras, pretty much the same everything. There's not one that really blows the other one out of the water. But there are some slight differences between both. And the very first one is probably the price. The iPhone XS costs around $500-ish to pick up on Amazon. You can probably get them for a little bit cheaper on eBay, but again, you gotta remember, most of the time when I buy things on Amazon, they're usually in better quality, but it's whatever. Whereas on the iPhone XS Max, you can pick them up for about $550 to about $570 on Amazon, so they're slightly more expensive. They're not like a crazy amount more expensive, but it's just a little bit more, which is totally okay. I'm okay with paying more money for a better phone, but between both of these, you're not going to be paying way more money for one over the other. And if you guys don't know, the XS Max was pretty much succeeding the Plus lineup in a way. Apparently the SE2 Plus is supposed to be coming out next year, but with this phone, I think it's a great size. I think it looks great. You have a 6.5-inch Super Retina OLED display. It's 1242 by 2688, and the phone feels great, and the body still holds up very, very well. It still looks really good as well, and the screen surprisingly has very little burn-in. Mine does have a little crack on the side because I dropped it one time on the screen protector, but other than that, it's held up extremely well. I have no complaints about it at all. You still have Force Touch on this panel, and you have True Tone on it too, which is a really, really nice combo. With the iPhone XS has that 5.8-inch Super Retina OLED display. It's 1125 by 2436. And pretty much the same thing going for it too. You have Force Touch, you have True Tone. When you're feeling it in the hand and you're running through everything, it feels and looks extremely, extremely good. Both these panels look good. One really doesn't blow the other one out of the water. And like I said before, one thing I'm really happy about with these two panels would definitely come down to just the way they look and the lack of burn-in. Samsung actually made these panels, believe it or not, and for some reason their phones get more burn-in than these ones, which is so weird. I think it has a lot to do with iOS and optimizations within it, but definitely the panels on these things look extremely good. You have lightning ports on the bottom of both of them, and on the back, dual camera setups, and they both hold up extremely well. Like I stated, not really too much to complain about here. Yeah, maybe the cameras, you're missing a sensor compared to the 11 Pro, but it's really not that big of a deal. A lot of people don't really worry about it anymore anyway. So when it comes down to that, that's really pretty much it. Those are the main differences on the outside. I mean, they still have IP certification, they have IP68, dust and water resistance, but really, like I said before, it comes down to the size. So which size do you like? If you want to save more money too, I guess the XS is cheaper, but you will see some noticeable differences between the size. And I'll give you an example. With the iPhone XS, I can easily use it with one hand. I don't have super small hands. Okay, I know you guys are gonna be funny, but I guess they're medium size, I guess. And if I'm walking down the street from going somewhere, I can easily whip it out and use it one-handed sometimes. But with the XS Max, which is the same size as the Plus versions, that is a big phone. I cannot use it one-handed. I would always have to use it two-handed. Now, if I'm taking a phone call or something, I can easily grasp it with one hand, which is totally okay. But I would most probably have to use two hands to maneuver through everything. And even now, whenever I do anything with it, if it's not a Temple Run game or something, I almost always have to use two hands when I'm using it. So it's one thing to keep in mind. I don't think it's a deal breaker. There's huge advantages for getting a bigger screen, but really it's just up to you. They both have the exact same features when it comes down to it, like I said, so one doesn't really blow the other one out of the water there. So in terms of the outside, that really pretty much covers it. Now, hitting on the software, they're both getting the exact same versions of software as well, so one's not going to win here. They're both on iOS 13.5.1 up until today. Maybe a new one will come out today, who knows. These things did start with iOS 12 though, and Apple does support their systems and their phones based off the chipsets inside, so both these things have the Apple A12 Bionic chip, so keep that in mind. And definitely when it comes down to it, software-wise, I mean, they're both getting the same ones like I said. But the really cool thing is that both of these actually have a jailbreak out for them too. And that was something that we haven't really seen in a long time for these two things, I think. For a jailbreak to be seen, for a jailbreak to be capable for a ton of iPhones, for every single capable version of software at that time. Now, the uncovered jailbreak came out when 13.5 was the latest one. 13.5.1 came out and fixed it and patched it. But definitely that's one really, really awesome thing. If you have an iPhone XS or XS Max, you'll be able to use that capability of jailbreaking it, which is a really, really awesome thing. If you guys have never jailbroken your phones, you guys really need to do it. You guys are missing out on a lot. But in terms of software, these things are going to be supported for a much longer period of time too. So there's really not too much to freak out about there. Now moving on to the performance, they both have the exact same specifications inside. Both have Apple A12 Bionic chips, hex-core CPUs, and 4 gigs of RAM. And I don't even think that's a bad thing. The fact that these two things are the same, I think that's a really, really good thing. And it really just comes down to the size when it comes down to it. Now, in terms of performance, both of them do extremely good. I mean, the XS is just a smaller version of the iPhone XS Max, but I never really complained about the performance of these things. Bro, I never even complained about the performance of the iPhone X. That thing had really good performance when it came down to it. Really, anything I ever did with that phone, it would handle it extremely well. There were times maybe where I'm like, okay, this is kind of taking a split second extra to open an app or something. But other than that, I mean, even when I compared my iPhone XS and XS Max to my iPhone 11, I saw that, they're doing pretty good. Like, it's not that big of a difference between both of them. And yeah, maybe the iPhone 11 is a little bit faster and the 11 Pro is a little bit faster, but I think when it comes down to it, I was extremely satisfied with the performance of the iPhone XS and XS Max, especially how it holds up in 2020. I get really good performance from both those phones. So in terms of performance, honestly, that really pretty much covers it up there. Now hitting on the cameras, both these things have dual camera setups on the back, two 12 megapixel sensors, a wide angle lens, and a telephoto lens. And really the only thing that you'll probably kind of be worried about is with not only the iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max that we have currently, but comparing it to the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro Max whenever those come out, because the 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max are supposed to be getting multiple camera setups, and more than just what the XS and 11 Pro had apparently. So you might feel a way about it. You might be like, oh, why can't I have more cameras or something? You'll possibly be comparing it all the time to it, but I think you probably won't freak out about it too much. I think you'll be perfectly fine. So the camera quality is really great though. You can do 4K at 60 on both, which is really nice. And really, I mean, I even think that's a little bit of overkill, to be honest. I think most people are probably going to stick with 1080p at 30, but still quality is great. There really wasn't too much to complain about there. 7 megapixel cameras on the front on both, 1080p at 60, and again, very, very good camera setups on both. I have really not too much to complain about between both. So in terms of the camera setups, that's really pretty much it. And ending off with the battery life, this is probably the biggest difference between both of them, which is surprising because even this one is a slight difference for sure. The iPhone XS has a 2,658 mAh battery. The iPhone XS Max has a 3,174 mAh battery. Both have wireless charging, which is really cool, but you probably get better battery life from the XS Max. At least that's what I've been able to see. But even the XS Max didn't really have the best battery life in my opinion, because you did have a pretty big screen, you had a pretty powerful phone, but you also had a pretty smaller size battery compared to it. I mean, this was only slightly bigger than an iPhone 7 Plus battery at the time, but since then we had the 11 Pro Max and 11 Pro and even the 11, those things had really, really good battery life, which was really cool. So really when it came down to it, I'll definitely tell you battery life is a little bit better on the XS Max, and that's probably one of the bigger differences between both of them, but I still think the iPhone XS is still good enough for a lot of people. I think, it'll definitely get you from point A to point B, and I think you won't really complain about it too much. So not only does it come down to the size, but also comes down to the battery life if you have a little bit more money to spend. And I've always said, like I said earlier on this video, if you don't know which one to get, if you don't know the size and everything, I would say get the iPhone XS, get the smaller one first, and if you think it's too small, then go and return it or resell it and then go pick up an iPhone XS Max. That's probably the way I would recommend these type of phones to people, especially when they are so similar. I mean, if you need an extra little bit of battery life, getting the iPhone XS Max might be a better way to go, but even then, you have to think about the size, you have to think about all these different things, and that's the one thing I would recommend you guys, is to look at it, see which one you would prefer, and kind of go on from there. So again, if you want to pick them up, links will be down in the description below. I'll find them on Amazon for the cheapest prices and link them down so you guys can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. That's really pretty much it. If If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys would check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.